if 24 hours ago you had asked traders, what will today be like? I suspect almost all of them would have said, well, equity is going to be down really hard and oil is going to blast higher. And 180 degrees different, totally the opposite. And it's funny how these things can go, because I've been around the markets for a long time, back to the mid 80s, early 80s. And January 16, 1991, the first Iraq war was about to start. And, you could hear the snare drums in the background. Everyone was tense. And there was all this talk about the Revolutionary Guard and Saddam's army is the toughest in the world. And this will be another Vietnam and oil's going to go to $200 a barrel and on and on and on. And people thought that we were really in for it. And this could be a quagmire. And the war started. And crude oil traders were expecting to make a fortune as oil blasted higher. That was January 16, 1991. By January 18, 2 days later, oil was about half its price. Half. Because once, 12 seconds into the war, it's like, this is going to be really easy. And the markets figure things out way faster than the news reporters do. The news loves to be dramatic. The news loves to pump up the narrative. But the markets are pretty shrewd about what's what. And yesterday, when the markets opened, crude oil did blast higher. And equities did plunge for about 12 seconds. And then ever since then, crude oil was up less, then up less, then up less, then it went down. And now it's down really hard, like 7%. And equities were down less and down less and down less than went green. So every stock index is green now, and energy is getting killed. I was bracing myself for today because I was already short energy in a number of different positions. It's like, well, those are dead. Nope, those are my best winners today. And early today, I shorted XOP. Giving that another shot. So that's worked out. So yeah, very much a bizarre day. Very different than what you might expect. So World War III averted, I guess. I've got my charts ready to roll, so let's jump in and talk about them. We're still kind of grinding away. The market, really just doesn't have a direction now. Just a couple of weeks in, we're just kind of, really not doing much of anything. The spider, kind of peak excitement ended here. And then since then, it's been kind of meandering. I grew up near the Mississippi. That's the best word for it. It's meandering, just like the mighty Mississippi. IWM is up. Now, this one's been annoying. If you've been watching it closely today, it plunged, then it ripped higher, then it plunged, then it ripped higher, and it plunged again, and it ripped higher. We're at the highs of the day right now. And we are, once again, getting close to challenging the ultimate stop loss, just completely give up point is way up here. You could set different levels depending. My own personal stop loss is right at this level here. 2.75 is the stop. But even though we got lower today than we've gotten in a while, so here's the low of the day, it's still showing a lot of strength. So very hoofy. The moment you think it's going to really rally, it falls to pieces, and vice versa. So I'm sticking with it. Now, as I said, and just apropos of nothing, Mexico was one of those country funds that I'd mentioned that kind of pooped out, and this has been slipping like that past couple of weeks. As far as oil goes, USO is down hard, as I said, about 7%. This level here, for whatever reason, has been pretty much resistance for 2 years. I think I did the sound effects on Friday, just like bang, 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 and we've once again gone bang. It just kind of refuses to get above that. In fact, let's be a little more generous. Let's sneak this line up to here, which was the peak back in January, and we didn't even beat that peak. With all that's going on, because there were no missiles flying on January 15, with all that's going on, it didn't even match the peak from January when nothing was going on. And so we've reversed all that Israel-Iran excitement. And we've pretty much undone the whole thing. It's like before it even happened. So there's that. That's USO. XLE down about 3.5%. Not a very clean pattern at all. XOP, which I shorted earlier today, as I mentioned, down 4.25%. Not a great pattern, but better than XLE. XLE is a big old mess. It's like pickup sticks falling on the floor. XOP is sort of kind of okay because that pink pattern kind of shows a top. But yeah, really, there've been a lot of surprises today. This is one of those crazy days. And as I made mention before, last week, I'd already shorted, I think on Friday. So COP down over 3%. Halliburton, HAL down almost 5%. That's a good one. And then a little less known, Vertiv Holdings, VRT, reversing away over 2%. And over in Bitcoin land, for whatever reason, yesterday we cracked under the 6-figure level. We're above it again. On the whole, the lifetime high was here. It sank for a while, had another spike, lower high, and sank a while again. So crypto's own unrelenting rally really ended half a year ago. And I think that was in anticipation of Trump and the very crypto-friendly administration. But even though he's been president 5 months, and even though they passed the Genius Act, and there's still, he's doing all of his own crypto businesses, even with all that, we're still where we were before he was even inaugurated. So the thrill ended in December, and since then it's just been like, well, now what? Although I saw Michael Saylor, just to get, I don't know if he's just after more publicity, but his new prediction for Bitcoin is $21 million a coin, which weirdly is how many Bitcoins are potentially allowed in their constructs, 21 million. So I don't know if he just grabbed that out of thin air or what, but yeah, so it's about $100,000 now, and his prediction is it'll be worth 210 times this much in, I think, 2047 or something. We can't know it's going to be the case in a day, but so it's actually kind of wise to put out a 20-year prediction, because who's going to know, right? But yeah, there's your sailor. Speaking of, here is strategy, MSTR. And as with Bitcoin, this sank a while, rallied, lower high, sank some more. Ethereum, incidentally, is pretty much unchanged. It was down really hard all the way through here, and it bottomed out yesterday. It took a big tumble. It peaked at around almost 2,900, and it actually got down to around 2,100. So that's big, about 30% or so. So that's Ethereum. Now, one thing I wanted to direct your attention to, I don't remember if I mentioned it on Friday, because on Friday I bought Palladium for the first time. I think I mentioned it, but I just don't remember. PALL was the symbol. But let's talk about Palladium for a little bit. Here is Palladium futures. You'll note I've drawn 3 basing patterns. This one completed with a terrific rally afterwards. This one completed, same result. This one, we're working on it. It hasn't completed yet. It'll take some doing to get there. Now, Palladium, it's thinly traded. It's way easier to trade GLD than PALL. And you can draw your own conclusions, like, why has it been such a laggard? Why has gold been just setting the world on fire, at least through April, and Palladium's just been kind of hanging out? But I'm assuming, I'm hoping this is going to play catch up. And today it's working out. We're up about 3.5% on the futures, and making a little more progress on that base. This is the ratio chart between Palladium and gold. And as you can see, Palladium just straight up stinks compared to gold. It did great for a while here, and it peaked. This ratio chart peaked back in early 2020. And since then, it's been doing pretty crummy versus gold. But that can change. As I say, the there aren't great ways to trade this. The kind of the principal instrument is PALL, which itself trades 50,000 shares, 100,000 shares, not much. So you'll often find the bid ask is like a dime apart, even more. But for the long haul, that's rounding error. It won't matter. So anyway, so far so good. Palladium is for the moment moving in the right direction, even though that too was kind of a fake out because at Sunday's open, it fell more than 1%. As far as gold itself, up a little, about half, no, about 0.4%. So palladium's kind of the star of precious metals today. Miners doing pretty good, up about 1 2/3%. A couple of individual ones you and I have talked about before, DRD and SKE, which is up about 3.5%. So all these are doing nicely, just kind of clicking right along. The biotech ETF is one I mentioned as a prospective short idea. And as with a lot of stuff, it was down harder earlier today, but it's still down a little bit. And that topping pattern is still in place with that dashed line, I think, being a reasonable stop loss level. And another item, which isn't moving dramatically, but is worth noting, is healthcare. I mentioned this one a couple of weeks back, XLV, the ETF, and we have cracked below this trend line. And it's got a not terrible pattern that it's completed there, but that's slowly cracking on too. I've got an individual stock of Centene CNC, which I'm short in that respect. Couple of other odds and ends. Speaking of, I mentioned the stablecoin, the Genius Act earlier. This has been a big beneficiary of it right here. This is a pretty new offering. Circle Internet Group, CRCL. As you can see, since its IPO, it has been having a grand old time. I don't know what the offering price was, but I imagine it was much lower than the actual public open. And even so, it has continued to soar. Today, it's up again to a lifetime high. And people are kind of scratching their heads because the company doesn't really do too much of anything, but it is all about stable coins. And in that respect, they are very popular among traders right now. So Circle Internet, very little to go in here. This is not the sort of thing I would trade at all. This is like no chart to make decisions on. Plus, it's very speculative. Another one which has also enjoyed great success and having a little bit more struggling today is CoreWeave, also very, very richly valued. But sometimes hot properties can get cold in a big hurry. A standout on that respect today is HIMS, HIMS. For a while there, it seemed incapable of going down. No pun intended, but that peaked up here and it got kind of sloppy, but then recently, and it looked like, as of Friday, looks like it was kind of shoring itself up again. So it fell really hard and then up, and it was kind of getting ready for a zip higher, just a wipeout today. A lot of nasty stuff happening. About a third of its entire market cap just poof, gone on big volume. So yeah, it's kind of a game of musical chairs or hot potato or whatever metaphor you want to use. So just to close up, SOXL, the leveraged on semiconductors, an odd thing to talk about the market in general, and I realize this leverage instrument, but I think it speaks volumes, this one chart, to show what a potent amount of overhead supply there is at these levels. And I just keep looping back to the RTY, the long-term Russell 2000 futures. It is a tug of war. Right now, we're at the highs for the day. It just keeps jerking back and forth. It hasn't been a breakout. It hasn't been a breakdown. We're still in this no man's land where there's this epic struggle going on. So I hope you survived the day okay. It's been a crazy one.